All right, so if you want to know what's worth scrapping, what's not worth scrapping, you got to get good at it first, because at first, nothing's worth scrapping because you're not going to know what you're doing. It's going to take you time. But right off the bat, things that are worth scrapping are things that have the most weight on precious metals that get you the most money. So lamps, faucets, lock sets, things like that are the things that are worth scrapping and taking apart. But again, you also have to encounter or come across those things, you know, in the field. There's some things you have to scrap. We've talked about that in other videos, like fluorescent, any fluorescent bulbs that have, what do you call it, ballast in them. So some things like that you have to take apart because that's the right thing to do. And then you'll find your sweet spot, right? Like motors, you should never take apart. That's a for sure. Should never take apart motors. And then there's some things that are questionable, like faucets, for example. You get a decent price. So for example, like a faucet, let's say brass is $2 a pound. If you can get $1.75 on mixed for your faucets, that's copper and brass, just take it. Like that 25 cent isn't really worth the time if you can find that kind of price for something like faucets, right? But they gotta be nice faucets. They can't be the cheapy plastic ones you find in like duplexes and four families. So you gotta know your material. I sort wire, I don't strip it. Some guys that strip it, I'll strip wire only if it's more than like 1/4 inch. Then I'll start stripping it. I found a piece of random wire over here. I threw it in a pile and I'll strip it at a later date. I'm also not gonna pull out my wire stripper for a 2-foot piece of wire. Like, so I'll strip a whole bunch of wire at a time. When it comes down to what you take apart, you got to look at the cost benefit and you got to run the numbers. Pots and pans are normally worth it because it's simple to take them apart, right? Take off a handle or two, takes 30 seconds, and you double your price typically from unclean to clean or from breakage to not. So for like, or like ladders, we got a bunch of ladders there. We just cut ladders in half and then we go into unclean. We're not going to clean up ladders. You know, the ladders right in front of you. Like, we're not going to take the time to clean those up. So basically, aluminum is not worth the weight to clean up because the weight is in the steel and the grommets and all that shit. While if you're looking to extract brass or copper, that's when it starts to become worth it. And then, like I said, pots and pans are the difference because you're just pulling plastic away from aluminum typically. Here, hand me that fucking motor right there. That silver one. Yeah, there you go. That's why. I'll fucking show you right here. So the question is, why not take apart motors? Give me another fucking motor, small one that's got a fucking housing. Yeah, there you go. Good fucking luck. There you go. There's your fucking answer. So here's why you don't take apart motors. All right, most of your motors you get are going to come looking like this. They got this steel all the way around them. Whether it's normally it's bolts, looks thicker than it is, right? Occasionally you get motors like this where the housing's gone. This is why you don't extract motors. Here's the motor, right? So this is after you already take this sheet iron housing off. If you look at this particular motor, right, you have all this copper here. All the weight's on the inside, right? And this magnet, that's where the fucking weight is. So to go after this little bit of copper, what, 2 pounds, maybe? Yeah. Maybe, okay. So this is 15, 20 pounds, right? For 2 pounds of copper. So the cost of it, how long would it take you to take this thing apart and pull that copper out? Hour. For 2 pounds of copper at $2.50 a pound to extract it the right way.
So you gotta get paid, you know, $1 for it now or $5 after an hour.
There's your options, right? So we get, normally motors are twice the price of steel. So right now we're getting 5 cents a pound on steel. So that means we'll get probably 10 cents a pound on motors, maybe 15 cents. Yeah, call it 15 pounds, even at 10 cents. This is worth $1.50, like this. All I have to do is throw in that bucket, right? I'll get that sweet shot when I throw it, like it'll go right past the camera, right? So it's worth $1.50 right now, or it's worth $5 after about an hour. So that's what we do. Cut the cord and throw the motor. Throw it two-handed like a shot, but if he wasn't there, I'd throw it in one hand. Why ain't that fucking bougie?
The thing with motors, too, is people always say, like, why don't you take the motors out of dryers, washers, and appliances and other machinery and stuff. You can. Some people, it's worth it. You're going to make, you know, not as bad of money on it as we were just talking about. You're going to make a couple bucks more, but you're probably going to make $10 after an hour's worth of time taking the motor out. And some things it's easy to take out, and you just...
But we allow our appliances, we get more than scrap value for anyways because we send them off to an appliance guy. And that motor is worth more to him, potentially using it again or fixing it or repairing it, than it is to us to break it down. So, like, your lower end appliances, like your ropers and stuff, typically you have a metal motor in a plastic housing, and you can break those out in like 30 seconds just by hitting them. But your nicer ones, your Kenmores, your Whirlpool, they'll be in a metal housing. So now you go there with nuts and bolts and screws, and it's fucking not worth the time to dick around with it. And again, we don't even fuck around. We just take our appliances to a guy that gives us better than scrap price, because that motor to him, he'll reuse it or repurpose it versus recycling it.